Filipinos went wild after Alex Eala walked off court at her Birmingham opener, and the Wimbledon train has officially left the station.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be back and I can't wait to be out on court and I hope to see you there.
The Edgbaston Priory Club has hosted Barty, Pliskova, Kerber, Jabeur. It has never hosted a sound quite like this. Flags from a country 8,000 miles away, chants in Tagalog bouncing off British grass, a 21-year-old from Manila standing in the middle of it like she had been preparing her whole life for exactly this week. And the wild part is not what just happened on Court 1. The wild part is the 6 days that came before it. Rewind to 144 hours ago. Court 14, Roland Garros. Alex Eala was sitting in a chair after losing 4-6, 2-6 to her best friend on tour, Iva Jovic, in the first round.
Eva is such a good friend of mine.
She's definitely one of my closest friends on tour. Big hug before the match, a big hug after. No bad blood there. I'm sure there'll be many more matches and she'll get me a couple times too.
5 days later, she was on a flight to England with 219 WTA points to defend across the entire grass swing, and a seeding at Wimbledon, the first of her career, hanging on whether she could hold it together. Birmingham was not a tune-up. Birmingham was the door, and the door had a history with her. Same tournament, same round, June 2025. Eala walked into Birmingham as the number 3 seed and walked out in 3 brutal sets to Linda Fruhvirtova, 7-5, 6-7, 5, 6-1, reportedly battling a right foot issue that opened up in the decider. 2 hours and 53 minutes of heartbreak on the same grass she was now stepping back onto. That ghost was not the only thing waiting for her. Some critics, particularly in international tennis circles, have begun questioning whether she is, as Tennis Head literally headlined this week, overhyped and overrated. Their evidence? 1 Grand Slam main draw win on her career resume, a clay season that produced exactly 1 main draw victory, a doubles withdrawal in Paris with no public explanation, a first-round exit at Strasbourg, a 1-5 deficit in the first set against Jovic before she ever found her feet, 3 weights on her shoulders walking into Birmingham, the clay season collapse, last year's blister-soaked flameout, and a chorus of doubters waiting for her to confirm them right. She brought a 4th weight with her own country. Here is what the doubters did not factor in. Filipino fans did not just buy tickets to Birmingham, they bought plane tickets. Multiple video creators on YouTube documented the migration in the days leading up to the match. Filipino faces lining Edgbaston, flags draped over barriers, a fan presence the Lawn Tennis Association itself amplified in an Instagram reel on May 30th. A WTA 125. The 3rd lowest tier of professional tennis, and a non-tennis nation flew in to make it sound like center court. Then there was the draw. Eala entered as the number 2 seed behind Indonesia's Janice Tijen. Her opener, wildcard Priscilla, Han of Australia, ranked WT at number 143 riding into Birmingham off a string of losses at ITFW 100 events in Japan. On paper, a gift. In Eala's memory, a problem. The two had met before, twice, and the most recent meeting, Ningbo qualifying in October 2024, ended with Han walking off the winner, a back-of-the-tour rivalry most casual fans did not know existed. Revenge stakes hiding inside a routine opener. Compress the timeline and the math gets uncomfortable. May 26th, tears on Court 14 in Paris. May 27th, withdrawal from the Roland Garros doubles draw with Victoria Mboko. May 28th, first grass court practice photos surface from Birmingham. May 30th, LTA hype reel. June 1st, ball toss on Court 1, 6 days from the worst day of her clay season to the first ball of her grass season. Most 21-year-olds on tour would have asked for a week off. Eala asked for a court. If you were watching the Filipino fan accounts on Facebook this week, the Diane Castillejo posts, the Ralph Adrian Rizal updates, the Alex Eala fans and supporters Philippines threads pushing past 1,000 reactions a post, you already knew. You saw it before the international press did. While Tennis Head was running subheaders asking whether she was overhyped, you were watching a Filipino kid in a Birmingham hoodie walk through the player's entrance and decide that Paris was over. You called this rebound days ago. The rest of the tennis world is just catching up to the timeline you were already living in, and then connect the dots. First, Auckland, her first WTA 250 final in January, then Indian Wells, a quarterfinal in March, then Eastbourne Grass last summer, a championship tie-break away from the title. Now Birmingham, with the same surface under her feet and the points she needs to defend stacked across the next 4 weeks like dominoes. This is not a streaky young player getting lucky. This is a pattern. Hard courts, grass courts, big stages. The trajectory does not zigzag, it climbs. Which brings us to the moment that mattered. Eala versus Hahn, the seed against the wild card, the girl who lost in Paris 6 days ago against the girl who beat her in Ningbo 2 seasons ago. And when the result came in from Edgbaston Filipino group chats, from Manila to Dubai to Los Angeles lit up at the same second. The opener was hers. The ghost of 2025 Birmingham was exorcised on the exact court that haunted her, and the Wimbledon math suddenly had oxygen again. You do not have to take the Filipino fans' word for it. Listen to the player who handed Eala her last loss. Iva Jovic is currently ranked number 17 in the world. She was seated inside the top 20 at Roland Garros. She is the player who 6 days before Birmingham beat Eala in straight sets in Paris. And the night of that win, instead of the standard winners post, Jovic went to Instagram, posted photos of their hug at the net, and wrote, "One of those days I wish there could be 2 winners. Love you, Alex Eala." That is not a peer being polite. That is a top 20 winner refusing to celebrate her own victory because the player across the net mattered to her more than the scoreline. And this is on top of what Iga Świątek made clear after their Madrid clash last year, that beating Eala required a full mental reset, that she had to adapt to a problem she was not used to solving. When the world number 2 admits you are a puzzle and the player who just beat you publicly wishes she had not, the overhyped label stops being a debate. It starts looking like a typo. The Birmingham points are the first domino. Ilkley begins on June 8th. Nottingham follows on June 15th. Eala is sitting second on the Queen's Club qualifying list, her first crack at that draw ever. Eastbourne arrives June 21st, where 118 of her 219 defendable grass points are buried in last year's final, and where a rematch with Maya Joint, the player who beat her in a championship tiebreak 12 months ago, is sitting on the bracket like a loaded gun. Bad Homburg has already offered her a wild card, and then on June 29th, Wimbledon main draw. If she holds her points across this swing, she enters Wimbledon seeded for the first time in her life. And here's what the ranking sheet does not tell you. No Southeast Asian player has ever been seeded at a Grand Slam in the Open era, not one. The Philippines is a basketball country, a boxing country. Tennis was never supposed to be the export. Eala is single-handedly forcing a region of more than 600 million people onto a sport's seeded board for the first time in its modern history. That is not a player having a good week. That is a tectonic plate shifting on grass. And do not forget where she was 6 days before this, down 1-5 in the first set against her best friend, hugging Jovic at the net, pulling out a doubles the next morning. No press conference fireworks, no social media outburst, no "I need time off" statement. She quietly logged on, posted love back to Jovic, packed her bags, and was on grass within 48 hours. The Filipino fans turned the bounce back into a meme overnight. Court 14, Paris to court 1 Birmingham. No rest, no excuses. She did not give an interview about resilience. She just showed up, added up, the plane tickets bought from Manila, the overhyped headline that ran 4 days ago, the Fru Virtova blister that ended her Birmingham last year, the Jovic Instagram post that turned a French Open loss into a friendship, and one quote from Eala herself that ties every single grass court she steps on this month back to a Filipino kid with a racket and a poster on her wall. "Wimbledon is my favorite slam. When I had big dreams as a young girl, they were always on that court, so I'm living the dream." Eala did not just win a first-round match in Birmingham. She bought herself the right to keep walking toward the court she has been dreaming about since she was a child. And in a week where most 21-year-olds on tour would have folded under what she was carrying, that is the only result that mattered. Now you make the call. If Eala defends her Eastbourne points and walks into Wimbledon seeded for the first time in her life, what round does she reach? The bold answer is quarterfinal. The honest answer is third round. Which one are you putting your name on? Drop it in the comments. Stake your claim before the Ilkley draw releases on Monday. Subscribe to lock in your seat for the rest of this grass swing. Ilkley, Nottingham, Queen's qualifying, Eastbourne, and the moment Eala walks back through the gates at the All England Club. The doubters get to be loud right now. You get to be right later.